Nike struck absolute gold when they signed Caitlin Clark to an 8-year, $28 million endorsement deal. So why in the world are they ignoring her? At the start of this year's WNBA season, it was announced that Caitlin Clark signed a massive endorsement deal with Nike. This deal was for 8 years, $28 million with a signature sneaker included. We have not seen any commercials, we have not seen any ads, we have not seen any Caitlin Clark merchandise, and we for sure as hell have not seen any Caitlin Clark signature shoes.
Remember when Nike was the undisputed king of sports endorsements? Well, times are changing, and Caitlin Clark just showed us how. This isn't just about sneakers anymore. It's about recognizing talent, embracing change, and maybe even reshaping the future of women's sports. Let's break down how Adidas just schooled Nike in the art of the deal. You know what's insane? Caitlin Clark's games are pulling in over 1 million viewers on average. That's huge. Now imagine being Nike and not doing anything with that. Well, guess what? That's exactly what happened.
Nike is obviously the biggest brand in athletic apparel, and Caitlin seemed to be a perfect fit for the brand. $28 million at the time, while some people, including myself, were saying that this might be a little bit too low. We also got to see the other offers that were on the table for Caitlin Clark, and as you can see, Under Armour offered her 4 years for $16 million, which by a year-by-year basis, she would actually be making more per year if she had signed with Under Armour, and I feel like looking back in retrospect, that might have been the perfect place for Caitlin, because I feel like Under Armour for sure wouldn't have ignored her this entire season.
Clark's rookie season was off the charts. She led all rookies in points, assists, and steals, and snagged the unanimous WNBA Rookie of the Year title. But Nike, they've been quiet as a mouse. No ads, no merch, nothing to show off their star athlete. What's going on here? Are they really letting other players take the spotlight over Clark? It doesn't make sense, right? But hold on, because this story's about to take a wild turn. You won't believe who stepped up while Nike was sleeping. Just when everyone thought Nike dropped the ball, Adidas picked it up and ran. They didn't just sign Clark, they're painting her as the face of women's basketball. And let me tell you, this isn't your average endorsement deal. Adidas saw Clark's star power and jumped on it faster than a fast break. You know what's wild? While Nike was sleeping on Clark's potential, Adidas was wide awake, plotting their next move. They recognized that Clark isn't just a rookie, she's a phenomenon. Her games are pulling in over 1 million viewers on average. That's not just good, that's game-changing. But here's where it gets really interesting. Adidas didn't stop at just signing Clark, they brought out the big guns. Imagine this, Billie Jean King, tennis legend and Adidas global ambassador, publicly praising Clark for her achievements. That's like having Michael Jordan endorse your jump shot. King's support isn't just a pat on the back, it's a statement. Adidas is saying, we're all in on women's sports and Clark is our MVP.
Nike put up this huge billboard that's basically like, if you break it, you own it. And this was in Iowa. They had other ads and things that came out, but since then it has been crickets. The thing that is the most surprising about this is, if you guys remember, when Caitlin Clark was playing at Iowa, Nike ran ads about her. When she broke the record for the most points in NCAA scoring history for both the men and the women, I personally don't understand how a brand like Nike, who has had athletes like Serena Williams, like LeBron James, like Michael Jordan, who branched off and made his own brand in itself. However, I will say that Caitlin Clark has created more buzz around the basketball landscape and has actually transformed and revived a league that was the WNBA.
And the fans, they're eating it up. Clark's merchandise is flying off the shelves faster than she dishes out assists. Her Indiana Fever jersey sold out almost everywhere. It's like Black Friday every day for Clark gear. This isn't just about selling shoes or jerseys, it's about tapping into a movement. While Nike's been quiet, Adidas is shouting Clark's name from the rooftops. It's like they're playing different games here. Adidas isn't just riding the wave, they're creating it. They're not just selling a product, they're selling a vision of the future of sports. A future where women's basketball gets the same hype, the same investment, the same respect as the men's game. Think about it. When was the last time you saw this much buzz around a WNBA rookie? Adidas isn't just betting on Clark, they're betting on the entire landscape of women's sports changing. And you know what? They might be right. This move by Adidas isn't just smart, it's revolutionary. They're not following the old playbook, they're writing a new one where women's sports are front and center, where rising stars like Clark get the spotlight they deserve from day one. Adidas saw the future, but they might have underestimated just how bright it is. Get this, since Clark stepped onto the WNBA court, viewership hasn't just grown, it's exploded, and that's just the beginning of how she's changing the game. You won't believe this, but there's been a 400% increase in WNBA viewership since Clark arrived. That's not just growth, that's a revolution. People are calling it the Caitlin Clark effect, and it's no joke. She's not just playing basketball, she's rewriting the rule book on what women's sports can be. Think about it, the WNBA has seen a 93% jump in ticket sales for 2024 compared to last year. That's insane.
Sabrina Ionescu has a shoe with Nike, and it is very similar to like a Kobe or a Kyrie shoe. It's actually honestly like it feels like it's a Kyrie shoe. I believe that Caitlin Clark, if they would have released a signature shoe for her this season, they would have made a killing. And there are a lot of men who wear the Sabrinas as well. That is an example where you don't need to take all of this time in developing the greatest first shoe for a player.
Clark isn't just filling seats, she's filling arenas. She's making women's basketball must-see TV and bringing in fans who never gave it a second look before. But here's where it gets really interesting. Clark isn't just changing how people watch basketball, she's changing how they think about women's sports altogether. She's proving that female athletes can be superstars, draw massive crowds, and yes, land those big endorsement deals. You know what's crazy? Some people are saying this could be the moment that changes everything for women's sports. Imagine a world where female athletes don't have to fight for recognition, where companies are lining up to sponsor them, not the other way around. That's the kind of future Clark's success is pointing towards. But let's talk about what this means for other female athletes. Is Clark opening doors that have been closed for too long? Are we about to see a flood of big deals and major investments in women's sports? Or is this just a one-time thing? Here's something to think about. Why should women athletes have to fight so hard for recognition in the first place? Why aren't more companies jumping at the chance to sponsor these incredible athletes? These are the questions Clark's success is forcing us to ask. And you know what? The answers could reshape the entire landscape of sports marketing. We might be looking at a future where female athletes are valued just as much as their male counterparts, where women's sports get the same hype, the same investment, the same respect. But here's the million-dollar question. Is this Adidas deal a one-time thing, or are we about to see a flood of big contracts for women athletes? The answer could change everything. Look, this isn't just about sneakers and jerseys anymore. It's about recognizing talent, embracing change, and maybe even reshaping the future of women's sports. Adidas didn't just sign an athlete, they're aligning themselves with the future of women's basketball. That's huge. You know what's crazy? This deal is shining a spotlight on some big issues in sports marketing. We're talking gender bias, racial bias, the whole 9 yards. It's like Adidas just kicked open a door that's been locked for way too long. Think about it. How many times have we seen amazing women athletes get overlooked? Too many to count, right? But now, with Clark's success and this Adidas deal, things might be changing. We could be looking at a future where female athletes are valued just as much as their male counterparts. But let's not get ahead of ourselves. Is this really the start of something big? Or is it just a one-off? That's what everyone's wondering right now. Are we about to see a flood of big deals for women athletes? Or is this just Adidas catching lightning in a bottle? And what about Nike? They dropped the ball big time here. Are they gonna try to make up for lost time? Or is it too late? You've gotta wonder what they're thinking right now. Are they kicking themselves for letting Clark slip through their fingers? Or do they have some kind of plan up their sleeve? One thing's for sure, Adidas just changed the game, and everyone's watching to see what happens next. This isn't just about one athlete or one brand anymore. It's about the whole future of sports marketing. You know what's wild? Some people are saying this could be the moment that changes everything for women's sports. Imagine a world where female athletes don't have to fight for recognition, where companies are lining up to sponsor them, not the other way around. That's the kind of future Clark's success is pointing towards. But here's the thing, it's not just about the money, it's about respect. It's about acknowledging that women's sports are just as exciting, just as important as men's. And maybe, just maybe, this Adidas deal is the first step towards making that a reality. So what happens next? That's the big question on everyone's mind. Are other brands gonna follow Adidas's lead? Are we gonna see more investment in women's sports across the board? Or is this just a flash in the pan? Adidas didn't just sign Caitlin Clark, they bet on the future of women's sports, and that bet's paying off big time. We're seeing a seismic shift in how people view women's basketball. Viewership is skyrocketing, ticket sales are through the roof, and fans can't get enough of Clark's gear. But here's the real game changer. This deal could open doors for female athletes everywhere. We might be looking at a future where women's sports get the same hype, investment, and respect as men's. It's not just about sneakers anymore, it's about recognizing talent and embracing change. So next time you see Caitlin Clark on the court, remember, you're not just watching a game, you're watching history in the making. And who knows, the next chapter of sports history might be written in stripes, not swooshes.